So, here we are, Facebook. Do you see it on your page, Theresa?
I'm looking now.
I'm so excited you're here.
Wait, something came through. Let me see. No, I'm not seeing it on Facebook yet.
Oh.
Not yet. But if you tag me and you see it going up, there we are. Okay, I got it.
Yay! Woo! Party! Well, folks, this is Theresa Cannistraci Farrell right here. Hi, Theresa.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good, Linda. Thank you for inviting me on and getting to meet you, because I know we're friends on Facebook, but this is fun.
This is great.
It takes me away from the refrigerator right now.
Oh my gosh. I had to ask them to take out my big refrigerator and give me a little one, or it's going to be hoarding city for me. Forget toilet paper, candy bars.
I know. I said boxes of hair dye should be flying off the shelf as fast as toilet paper right now. You know? We're in day, I think we're in day like 63 here in New York, and that's how long we've been home, and we're going to May 15th.
You're going to make what?
We're going through May 15th. We're home quarantined.
Okay.
Through May 15th, and then we'll see what happens after that.
I know. I'm kind of scared about the second round, with flu season coming up. How are people in New York handling that threat?
Well, they're saying that it might happen in the fall, and what they're doing right now is they're recommending whoever can get tested for antibodies to go get tested. So I'm actually scheduled, I think, May 8th to get tested.
Did
And
you?
then if I do have the antibodies, I'd like to donate my plasma, to help other people.
Good for you. I'm sure you've seen a lot of fallout. And
Yeah, my neighbor, his brother just passed away. A friend of mine, her healthy 37-year-old son passed away. Two of my friends lost their moms. Another friend lost a father-in-law. It's everyone's being touched by this.
Yes.
And it's hard because people can't grieve the way they want to grieve, and they can't have a service the way they want to have a service. So normal's not the new normal.
No, this is just the worst. I'm 69 years old. I've never seen anything this horrible in my life. And
God bless you. You look fantastic.
thank you. Lots of coffee. I don't know. It must be the coffee. That's all I do is drink. I'm telling you, they could leave me in my room, and if I have coffee and no food, I'm fine. I don't care. Just whatever.
With me, I think it's chocolate. That's fine.
Yes. Well, Theresa, I looked you up on IMDb. You've been in a ton of movies. So you're an actress, born to entertain, you say, and a singer, and a comedian, and a dancer. Delve into your early life.
I say I'm J-Lo without her money and ass. My mom put me on the stage when I was 4 years old. She put me in dancing school, and I got the bug and loved it, performing. And I joke around, I say I'm actually an exhibitionist who keeps her clothes on. But I just always loved being on stage and entertaining people. And as I grew up, in high school, I was part of the drama club, and then from there I went on to community theater, and then I got into stand-up in the 90s. I did that for a few years, and then I stopped when I had my daughter, and then I returned to comedy about 4 years ago.
What made you go into comedy? What in the world?
This is funny. It's a funny story, Linda. I always wanted to be an actor, and my girlfriends, Grace and Betsy, gave me a birthday card, and it said your birthday fantasy, and there was this like shirtless guy on the cover, and I'm thinking back then in the early 90s, a night with the Antonio Sabato Jr., and I got very excited. It was comedy classes at the Learning Annex in Manhattan, and it was I think it was a 4-week class, and you had my teacher was Richard Mincer, who was a great teacher, and you had to write 5 minutes of material, and then you performed at Stand Up New York. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. And they're like, oh no, we paid for it. You're funny. You're going to do it. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I did the class. And then now graduation comes and you're at, Stand Up New York. And my teacher said, all right, Theresa, you're the first one up. And I'm like, no. I said, the more they drink, the funnier I am. I'm like, don't first. Your class. And I'm like, well, does that mean everyone else sucks? You're really funny. And like, no, you're really that funny. And I went up and I did 5 minutes and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And back then I thought someone's going to see me and I'm going to end up on SNL, Saturday Night Live, or I'll end up with my own sitcom. Because back then you had Roseanne, Tim Allen, Ray Romano, Seinfeld, and you had all these comics who had their own sitcom. And I'm thinking, all right, this will work for me. And I've always come this close to getting things throughout my career, but they've never panned out. And I say, God's got a plan. And, and when we make plans, he laughs. So I just have to, go along for the ride. Before this interview, you and I talked a little bit, and
Yes.
The Godfather story.
I want to hear this.
Funny story. Well, what happened was I was in my dancing school, Robert Mann Dancing School in Bayside, Queens, and the producers of The Godfather walked in, and they wanted little kids for the wedding scene. They line us all up, and they picked my girlfriend Grace and her brother and sister Maria, and they picked Joey and Lisa Toy, who were actually half Asian and half Italian, and they picked Jimmy Ganaris, who's Greek, to play Pacino's son. So I'm standing there, and I had a big mouth back then too, and I'm like, I tug on the guy's shirt, and I look up, I go, what about me? And he said, what about you, little girl? And I said, well, I'm Italian. And he said, I'm sorry, little girl, you don't look Italian. I said, but I'm 100% Sicilian. And he goes, I'm sorry, little girl, you just don't look Italian, because when I was younger, my hair was a little blonde, it was lighter. And I went running home crying to my mother. I'm like, they're all going to be in the movie, but me. I can't believe this. And to this day, my girlfriend still gets a residual check. Not much. But the wedding scene was filmed on Long Island. And she tells me how that day was filming with Marlon Brando there and Pacino there and the cast. And so that was my first time feeling rejection from Hollywood. And then I just had to get used to that.
That's hilarious. What did they think you were if they didn't think you were Italian? Did they say?
No, and I guess a lot of people when I was younger, because I had lighter hair and the blue eyes, a lot of people thought I was Irish, Polish, German, Jewish. Some people, when you heard my maiden name is Cannistraci, it's Italian, it ends in a vowel. But yeah, I didn't really look at, I didn't have the dark hair, dark eyes, olive complexion that, they all had.
Yes. So even though you got rejected for that particular role, you bounced back to getting into all these Talk to me about your movie career and then switch into going into comedy from there, because I don't want to leave out your movies.
Okay, well, I was in a lot of the movies. I was in independent films.
Yes.
Friends are doing movies. They're looking for actors. I'm actually in another independent film that we were supposed to film in March, and obviously it's been postponed.
Yes.
I've done a lot more theater than movies. I do love the movies. Give me a microphone, give me a stage, give me a camera, and I just say go, and I'm fine. Which my sister said, you're crazy, because I don't know how you can get up in front of people and just do stuff. And I'm like, I just go with it. But
Yes.
And then I'm excited to say that after doing comedy all these years, a wonderful, wonderful woman named Marianne Mazzano has a all-Italian chick comedy show, but it's like a comedy variety show because we do more than just telling jokes. We sing, and there's a lot of storytelling involved. And Danny Aiello, may he rest in peace, was acknowledging the show and said, "Hey, I'd like to, let people know that I endorse the show." So we were calling it Danny Aiello's Italian Chicks, and Miriam were looking for new Italian chicks. And I sent her my headshot and my resume, and she said to me, "I think you're funny, and I want you to be a chick." And I was like, "Wow!" And it kind of felt like, like I arrived. I mean, I've done Caroline's Comedy Club, I've done Stand Up New York, I've done the comic strip, and I actually just did Dangerfield.
What?
A couple of months ago, before this thing happened, on a show called LMAO. My friend Jeff Kreiner produces that, and he said, "I'm coming to New York, I'm looking for comics," and I'm like, "Great." So, because you put in your dues as a comic, and it's not easy to do, because back in the 90s when I first started, I didn't have, I was married, but I didn't have a child. So it was easy for me to be out there every night, night after night after night, doing stand-up and going to work in the morning. But do that now at my age isn't as easy. I mean, my daughter's grown, and yes, I could do it, but I'm no spring chicken. So, but coming back into comedy 4 years ago, I re-entered as Theresa Farrell, and it was like starting all over again. I mean, I loved seeing faces who I haven't seen in years, like Joey Cola, who I had on my show, and Richie Byrne. They're comics who I met back in the 90s. And I was so blessed to work with one of my idols, Bob Nelson, who I used to watch all the time. He used to be at Dangerfield all the time and work a lot with Rodney. And he used to do prop comedy, and that's where I do a prop joke. I do a feminine douche commercial. My show with the feminine douche commercial, where I do a valley girl, my Italian grandmother, and a lesbian construction worker. And he was who I looked up to, and I was so blessed to work with him for about 4 weeks doing improv. So, I mean, comedy has been good to me, and acting has been good to me, and I just feel that I'm here for that reason, and I've been knocked down, and I keep getting back up. Like one of those, when I was a kid, we had that clown that you punched, and you go back down and pop back up.
Yes, the one with the fringe on it.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, that's, I think, how a career is in entertainment. You know what I mean? You get down, you come back up, you get down. My biggest thing is to stay humble, remember where I came from, remember the struggles that I've had. My mother always says, "You never spit up because it comes back down."
I love that. That's
5 years ago, as you know, I had a brain tumor, and I needed brain surgery. So I joke, I have 2 titanium plates in my head, so I say I get free Wi-Fi now. Yeah. And I had my brain tumor 5 years ago, and that's when I said to myself, life is so short, and everyone realizes that now, because we're all going through the same thing right now, and it makes you really just reevaluate your life and who you have in your life, because I got rid of a lot of toxic people.
yes.
They stress, and stress shortens your life, and I just want to be surrounded by positivity and people who are happy and not toxic.
Me too.
I think that's an important thing, and to laugh. Try to laugh every day. Find the humor in something.
Yes.
Just laugh.
Just do it. Yes. I'm telling you, I'm from Oregon. We have Nike out there, and there's a reason why it's just do it. Just go ahead and laugh.
Absolutely. You can't, you don't want to go through life with the should-haves, could-haves, would-haves. You got to grab life sometimes by the balls, in plain English.
Yes.
Go for it. Just 90 years old, and I say I've fallen and I can't get up, well, where's the beef? Eventually, something's going to happen.
Yes.
I believe it in my soul.
Yes.
I really do.
So you love acting, I think.
I love acting. I got into comedy to get into acting. A lot of people don't tell you that, but there's a couple of people out there who have.
Yes. So you're in acting, even though you got turned down for Godfather because you didn't look Italian. What a bunch of schlemiels they were, missing that boat. They're probably sorry now.
Oh, yeah. They needed another 7-year-old to run around in a party dress. I've always come this close. But like I said, it's something, it's not in the universe, it's not supposed to be yet. It's just not, it's in the universe. I put stuff out there. But there was another time my girlfriend was the producer of, do you remember the show A Current Affair?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
That was like a news show.
Yes, it was a news show. And she called me up and she said, we're doing the funniest, they're doing a contest, funniest girl from Queens.
What?
And we're gonna do an expose on you. We'll mic you up and get you coming out of the subway, and it'll be a whole story on you, whether you win or not. And I was like, all right, cool. So they mic'd me up and they got me coming out of the subway. I felt like Mary Tyler Moore. I just had to throw that up in the air, And they interviewed me. I ended up winning funniest girl from Queens.
Wow.
And I said to my girlfriend, listen, I gotta get a copy of this. And now I'm so gonna get on Saturday Night Live or get on sitcom. I'm like, this is so gonna happen now. I won funniest girl from Queens. So I said, how do I get a copy of it, for myself? And she said, well, you have to wait till it airs because of copyright infringements. So I was like, okay. So it turned out no one ever saw it because the show was canceled before it aired.
Oh, Lordy. Oh, my God. Oh, so close.
But hey, and then I get a call years later from my cousin who works for Oxygen, Oprah's network.
Yes.
So he said to me, when you wait online at Walmart and there's the little TV with infomercials and stuff. So he said they're doing cooking promos, how to make bruschetta. Would you like me to send you the script? So I said, sure, send me the script. Now this was in the early 90s when everyone wanted to be Martha Stewart. So I learned the script, I go in, and you can see everyone auditioning all look very prim and proper, like Martha Stewart. And I'm like, the one thing you have to be is you have to be yourself. So I went in, I put my little comedy twist on it, and there was a camera woman, and then there was another woman who I guess was the casting agent, I don't know. And it was so long ago. And I do my how to make bruschetta, and the camera woman puts the camera down, and she goes, that was effing great. And they both start cracking up. And I'm thinking, oh, good, they think I'm funny. They liked it. Okay. So she said, can you do it again? But now as you tell me how you're making it, actually, do the motions. And that's kind of like, like tapping your head and rubbing your tummy. It was kind of weird, but I did it. And I met Grace and Betsy, who got me the Learning Annex classes. I met them for lunch. And they said, how did it go? I said, I think it went great. I said, they seemed to like me. And I didn't hear anything back. And I call my cousin, Michael, and I go, hey, you hear anything of what's going on with that cooking promos thing with Oxygen? And he goes, you never heard anything? I said, no. And he goes, let me make a phone call. Okay, so he calls me back and goes, you're not going to believe it. And I was like, what? Believe me, I'll probably believe it. He said, well, they decided to scrap the whole idea.
Ugh.
So
Oh.
I was like, okay, just wasn't meant to be. Just keep rolling with the punches, just keep going. And that's what I do. I just keep going. And after having brain surgery, I don't say no to too many things. I say yes, and then I'll worry about it. Because I'm afraid, you never know where one thing's going to lead you.
Exactly.
Who God's going to put in your path.
That's right.
So I'm open to everyone and everything.
Oh, that's so cool. There.
Legally.
Speaking of being open, who all have you opened for, or been on stage with in the comedy world and the acting world that people would know? And have you been in Mrs. Maisel? Somebody started the rumor that you were on that show.
No, actually, I wasn't in Mrs. Maisel, but
Maisel.
a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, Danny, was in season 2, episode 1. She played the mobster's wife.
Wow.
And she did not have any lines, but she was like a featured character there in the scene the entire time, at the sink, serving dinner. I was so thrilled for her.
Ah.
So thrilled for her. So no, I did a lot of extra work too. I was in an old TV show called The White Shadow, which was about a high school basketball team. I did a Bud Light commercial. I don't have my resume in front of me. I've done a few things, nothing. But my husband, thank you. With the brain tumor, sometimes my memory's not that great. Thank you, honey. I actually landed a Hotels.com commercial.
What?
And I was like, move over, Captain Obvious. But what happened was, I landed this commercial for Hotels.com, but because it was more than a minute, it was actually almost 2.5 minutes, the commercial was only an online commercial for Hotels.com.
Yeah. What's that?
Italian mother.
Yes, the audio just went out for a second there. What did you say before you said Italian mother?
And I was happy to do this Hotels.com commercial where I actually played an Italian mother.
Got it.
New York sounding Italian mother. Can you? I don't know. Does it
Totally. You're totally nailing it.
You say water, and then you say water. I mean, all the ERs become A's. It's very,
Yes.
York.
Yes. Well, on stage doing acting and plays, who all have you got to meet that really impressed you?
Well, I'm so blessed to be part of Back Away, A Yankee Miracle, because of Ray's connections and who he's met through the years. A lot of people have come and supported the show. Danny Aiello actually came to one of the shows in the Bronx. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet him. But Dwight Doc Gooden comes and he does Q&A. Val the Voice Valentinetti's been in the show. We've had Bernie Williams came to perform in the show. A lot of Yankees. David Cohn. Pepe Cardona from Alive and Kickin' with his one-hit wonder, Tighter and Tighter, actually wrote a song about Thurman Munson about a week after he died. So he came and he was in the show. Ricky Byrd, who played with Joan Jett, he came and he was in the show. And then we had this big celebration of Thurman Munson's life, and you had Bucky Dent there, and so many beautiful people that are there and want to support. It's a non-profit show. Let me make that clear. No one gets paid doing this show. All the money raised goes to a charity. When we did it in the Bronx, it went to a beautiful man who has ALS. It's gone to a number of different charities. And we all do this out of the love for acting and the love for Ray and the love for giving back to people who are in need. And Mickey Rivers, who was actually with the Yankees, is actually in the show playing himself.
What?
Yeah.
That's super. Oh my gosh.
It's great. I mean, I've met people throughout my lifetime, who, I've met Scott Wolf. I have in the beginning of my show, I have on my talk show on Monday nights. In the beginning of my show, I have like a montage of everyone who I got the blessing to meet. I think Scott Wolf years ago, BB Newirth years ago. actually met Liza Minnelli. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like life's all about timing, and you can have all the talent in the world.
Yes.
You really can, but it's all about timing. It's when it's your time, and it's all about timing. It really is. I mean,
Yes.
and I'm blessed because I live on Long Island. I could go to clubs on Long Island. I could go to clubs in Manhattan, and I can get to meet. When I did, was it comic strip?
Michelle Ballin says hello.
Oh, hello. When I did comic strip years ago in the early '90s, I was just about to go on. Chris Rock walked in.
What?
And when Chris Rock walked in, everyone gets bumped. And I'm okay to get bumps for Chris Rock. And he was so sweet. I was just starting out in comedy back then. I had asked him a couple of questions about, comedy and, how to keep pursuing it and material and writing. And he was very, very nice and talked to me, and he was very, very sweet.
Do you remember any specific thing he said that helped you a lot?
I think the one thing a lot of people tell me, including Chris, is just be you, do you. Don't try to be like other people, other comics. My wise Sicilian father always said to me also, don't look at what other people have, because you'll never be happy with yourself and what you have. Don't compare. And I think that, when you get older and wiser, you put up with less crap.
Yes.
Okay? Because I'm at the age where you don't like me, that's okay.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to like me. And if you love me, that's fantastic too. But I think you come to a point in your life when you hit a certain age where you're just like, I'm going to do me and try to be authentic and genuine, and, not everyone's going to love you. That's the bottom line.
That's
I think the best advice he gave me, and a lot of people gave me, is to be you, do you, and move forward. Don't become stagnant. Just move forward. Keep moving forward. And, be a little crazy too. Do things that you've never done before. Kind of like, I'm not jumping out of a plane anytime soon out of a parachute, but, try to take more chances in life. And I think as we get older, for me, the fear is less. I've always been fearless. I think it's very important to still get nervous before you get on stage. I don't think anyone should be cocky. I think you should have that sense of excitement, and butterflies. I mean, when I did Dangerfields, it was the first time I actually did Dangerfields in my career, and I felt it, and I like that feeling.
Me too.
I think that's what, pushes you to really try to put yourself out there and do the best you can.
It should feel like a first date.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're nervous, you're excited, you hope it goes well. I do a bit on that. I do a bit on dating. How we usually know whether or not we're going to give it up before we go out on the date. If we shaved, we got a good shot. If we didn't shave, it ain't happening.
No, not at all.
I look like Sasquatch underneath all this because, winter's my favorite time of year because it's like in 3 months I don't have to shave. Who's going to see me?
Yeah.
Men don't care what it's there. They just care,
Yes.
Certainly. They don't care about what's around it or what's near it.
So how do you're in the thick of everything in New York that's going on. All of America has their eye and their hearts and their prayers on New York and good Lord, Georgia. Heavily populated.
We're in till March, till May 15th. We're in. They're telling people when you go out to wear a mask and still do that, social distancing of 6 feet, because someone can cough or someone can sneeze and particles can be in the air. I mean, I could have it, not know I have it, be asymptomatic. So, we try to take every precaution we can by wearing a mask and gloves But you find things to do. Right now, my daughter's not home. She usually would be, but she's not home. She's social distancing at her boyfriend's house because she was going back and forth between both houses. And I was like, pick a house. Just pick a house. So she picked that one. So I was like, okay. So she's there. She's safe. She's working from there. She's working from home, which is good.
Good.
But it's really rough on people who are out of work. There's so many people out of work, especially in the entertainment industry. I don't think a lot of people, including myself, are used to having off for this long of a period of time.
No.
It's a lot of dates are canceled. Some are rescheduled. The Italian Chicks, we just rescheduled a show for November that we were supposed to do. So there's a lot of rescheduling going on, and a lot of people are home right now. And like you, I'm trying to grab them for my show too. I'm like, hey, what are you doing Monday night? Nothing. Great. You're home quarantining. Come on.
My next guest is Tony.
We have a captive audience, Linda.
I know. I call them up and I go, what night? And they go, every night, any night.
Great.
Yeah. I'm excited about the next guest, Tony Tripoli. He was with Joan Rivers.
Oh, nice.
In the Fashion Police.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can see if he's open to doing Monday night at 8:00 New York time if you want me to ask him that.
That would be lovely. That would be great. Yeah, just connect me to him and we'll figure it all out.
There we go. So talk to me about Tea Time.
Tea Time. Tea Time is a talk show. It's a one-on-one talk show, and it's people in the entertainment industry. I've been doing it a little more than a year and a half. It's on Monday nights at 8:00 on Strong Island Television on Facebook. It could also be seen on YouTube, Roku TV, anyone who has Roku, and it's on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts, and it's all over. And basically, it's just a one-on-one conversation. It's all about my guests. I try to keep it fun, entertaining, and interesting. I've had on everyone from an MMA undefeated cage fighter to Richard Pryor Jr. and everyone in between, from actors, comics, magicians, ventriloquists, movie producers, directors. It's been really, really interesting. I didn't think I was going to do it as long as I have. I thought it was going to be like a 3-month thing, and then it turned into a year thing, and then I took off for January and almost a little bit part of February, and then everyone's like, we missed Tea Time, you got to keep doing it. And I was like, okay. And then this is the new normal, doing it from home during the quarantine. So, it gives me something to do on a Monday night at 8:00, and it gives my viewers something to watch and listen to. So, I'm happy.
That's awesome. I love doing these interviews.
They're fun, aren't they fun?
So
They
fun.
are. So we can switch roles and I get to ask you a ton of questions.
I would love that. Yeah, I would love that. Has anybody ever, because of your career, has anybody ever roasted you?
No, not yet. But I actually was asked to roast someone.
Wow.
A kid. His name's Luigi Squeegee, and he was actually a New York Yankee bat boy also, and he got his name Squeegee from Derek Jeter. When you join the Yankee organization, Derek Jeter gives you a nickname, and he looked at Luigi and he goes, nah, you look like
Yes.
just to get an idea and a feel and a timing for it. And it actually ended up being, everyone laughed at what I was saying, and he was laughing so hard he was crying, and I kind of like felt bad because I never like really liked picking on people, or like kind of like, but like a roast it's in a loving way.
Yes.
It's all done in a very loving way. So, and he knows it came from the heart, which made it more special.
Yes.
So I haven't had anyone roast me. I've had comics who've gotten up, who've made fun of me. That just happens, if I say something and I get off stage and another comic comes up, they'll throw like a tagline onto it, make it funny. That's happened, and I've laughed my butt off along with them because I think it's genius.
Yes. It's a great way to transition, to segue from one comic to another and keep the energy going. As long as it's not mean,
Yeah, no mean-spirited. It's got to come from the heart. It's got to be fun. I worked for a company back in the 90s called Omnipop. It's a talent agency. They're still around, Omnipop. And they asked me, can you do a weekend in Red Bank, New Jersey, at a place called the Laughing Bean. We want you to MC the shows for Friday and Saturday night, and it was very, very, very far from my house in Queens. So I called up my aunt and uncle who lived in Staten Island, and I said, could I stay over your house? Is that way I don't have to go that far to Jersey? And they did, and I've never MC'd before. It was very interesting to MC because I like playing off the audience. I like their energy, and it actually turned out really, really good. There was a guy there, like, laughing, and I wasn't getting to the punchline yet, and he seemed to be on a date with this girl, and I'm like, I know I'm trying to be funny, but I'm not getting to the punchline. This guy's laughing, and I'm like, what's your name? And he goes, Roberto. I'm like, oh, Roberto, speak to me, darling. I love that accent. And I go, are you on a date? And they're like kind of like looking at each other like they weren't sure. And I was like, are you on a date? And they were kind of like confused. And I was like, he goes, you're going to get me in trouble. And I said, no, I'm trying to get you laid. Are you on a date? And then that's when everyone started laughing. And it was just, and I like feeding off the audience too. I like sometimes when they throw out stuff. One time I had a heckler, and that was interesting because my girlfriend said, did you ever have a heckler? No. And I had a heckler. He was a drunk guy, and he was talking and yelling, and I was like, okay, how am I going to handle this? And he says, I said, what's your name? And he goes, Bob Riley. I said, oh, Riley, there's a prerequisite to how, you're feeling good tonight. And just kind of like, just try to bring him in, incorporate it, be nice about it. And then I was like, okay, Mr. Riley, time for me to get back to my job, okay? So if you just want to stay quiet for a little bit more. It was good.
That's a great way to handle it.
Because you kind of get nervous. You're like, all right, now where did I leave off? What was I talking about?
Yes. I think that's a great way to handle it because you give him the attention he's starving for, and then you're nice about it, and the whole room knows what you're doing, and you go, now can I get...
I'm not one to be nasty and tell him, look, shut the hell up because I'm up here working, and nah, that's not me. I just try to incorporate him in the show to make it funny, and then just back away easily.
Yes. Yes. I went and did a show about 2 months ago, and every premise, this one guy would die laughing before I got the premise out. And I just stopped and I said, will you please come to every show I ever do?
That's great. That's like when you have that one great person who laughs in the audience, and they have that one distinct laugh where it stands out and you can hear them. That's my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law has the best laugh. I said to her, I wish you could come to every show.
Yes.
Once you hear her laugh, you can't help but laugh.
Yes.
So yeah, everyone wants one of those.
Yes.
It's pretty.
So funny. So you've been in, like, what states in the United States have you done comedy in?
Back in the early 90s when I had no children, I traveled more with the comedy. So back then I did some shows down in Florida. I did shows in Jersey. I did shows actually in California. And then, and then I came back and I wanted to get into Caroline's. Caroline's was like an 8-month wait to do Caroline's, and that was like really special for me. I love doing Caroline's. I mean,
Tell me about your Caroline's experience.
Well, it was just everyone wanted to. I was sick as a dog, actually. I was sick with fever, and my head felt like it weighed 100 pounds, but I didn't want to cancel the show. I wanted to do it. I watched back at the videotape from that show, and I see how I could see in my eyes are glassy. I was so sick. I know how sick I was. And then when I watched the video back, I'm like, wow, I really was, like, my energy wasn't as high as it normally is. But doing any club in Manhattan, even Broadway Comedy Club. I love doing Broadway Comedy Club in the city. On Long Island here, we have Governor's Comedy Club, which is a very well-known comedy club, and a lot of us comics hang out there. And then they have a sister club, the Brokerage, and then they have another club out in Suffolk County called McGuire's. And, Long Island comics, it's a big neighborhood of Long Island comics. And pretty much everyone knows each other, which is nice.
Yes. I listened to Governor's radio show on Facebook.
Yeah. I was there for about a little over a year, and then I switched over to Strong Island Television. So yeah, it was. They have the main stage, the main room, which holds about 275 people, and they have what's called the little room, which is very intimate, which holds about 60 people. So it's kind of like you have like all your closest friends, surrounding you, and it's nice. It's a lot of fun. I mean, you just have to do it. So for anyone who's looking to get into comedy or acting or singing or any kind of profession, you just have to do it. Do it. That way, at least you can say, I tried, or I gave it a shot, or yeah, look at me, I'm really actually doing it.
Yes. Have you ever watched a comedian on stage who's been an actor or is still an actor and felt like too much of the presentation relies on acting and not enough on comedy?
I think there are a handful of actors right there who are getting into comedy on top of their acting career. Some of them are funny. Some of them are very funny. They draw from their life experiences, and that's what comedy is. Comedy shouldn't be, in my opinion, ragging on someone else and belittle and making someone else feel bad. Comedy, all my comedy, and a lot of people whose comedy is all about them, making fun of them and being relatable.
Yes.
Because I could talk about, last 2 months, sitting here in pants with an elastic waistband and being horrified to try on my jeans right now because I don't know if they're gonna fit. Probably if I lay down and suck it in and that thing that we all did in high school. But it's all about making fun of oneself. And then I think there are some actors out there doing comedy that are able to rely on their acting and their following as an actor to bring people in to see them do comedy. And their comedy isn't so much sometimes a joke and a punchline, but sometimes it's about their career or it's a story. So it's more, I wouldn't say it's comedy, laugh, ha, funny, but it's more in the sense of telling us more about yourself
It does. It helps me because, I know you're an actor and I know you're a comedian. And I personally, when I'm watching people do comedy, if I feel like it's more than 50% acting, I'm like, if I wanted to watch the person act out the whole time, I would go to a play or a movie. I'm here to listen to jokes. And I personally struggle with it if it's too much.
There are some actors out there that I think doing stand-up that are funny, and then, to be honest, there are some actors out there doing comedy that shouldn't be doing comedy, but God bless them that they are. And, kudos to them. It's one thing when your family laughs at you, and your family and friends think you're funny, but it's another thing to get in front of strangers.
Yes.
Strangers laugh. And like I said, I think they have the following and they have the fans, over the years of acting. For me, it's so different because I started acting at such a young age and dancing and performing, and then I went into stand-up, and I kind of put the acting on the back burner. In the early 90s, that's all I did was comedy, and then maybe a handful of community theater shows with friends of mine. But then getting back into the comedy 4 years ago was all comedy, and thanks to Bob Nelson, because if Bob Nelson, he was looking for comics to do improv, and I was like, I got this opportunity, I'm going to grab it. And I got to work with someone I looked up to, doing comedy when I wasn't, and just to work with him and to learn how to improv, and that's really flying by the seat of your pants,
Yes.
knowing what to say and what you're going to do. And I was blessed to work with Bob, and I'm forever grateful to him because comedy 4 years ago, and then that's when I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to take acting lessons. And I started taking acting lessons with different teachers because everyone teaches differently. And then that's when I said, I'm going to get on Backstage and I'm going to get on Actors Access and I'm going to try to audition and put myself out there. And then I looked at my black and white headshot from the 90s, and I'm like, first of all, I don't look like this anymore. And second of all, they want color these days. So that's when I actually sent you my picture that you posted. That's my headshot.
It's beautiful.
Headshot. Thank you. And so yeah, it's kind of like, starting all over again. The headshot, the resume, building up. The thing today is the internet, YouTube and the internet. And there are people out there who know how to work it, know the analytics, and they know how to work it, and they know how to build up that following. Bookers today, they're not asking, are you funny? They're asking, do you have a following? How many people watch you on YouTube? How many people follow you on Twitter or Instagram? Like, wow, it's a very, very different world from back when, I first started in the 90s.
It is.
It's almost like a popularity contest.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's weird because, all of the followers, like if you have 2 million followers, they're not all in Hoboken, New Jersey when you are.
You're right. I mean, I'm blessed that I have people who tune into me weekly to watch my show. I mean, you build up a following after a year and a half, but as far as, I'm not, listen, some people post something every day to Instagram. That's not me. Is it wrong? Maybe. Should I put myself out there more? Maybe. But I really just have to stay true to myself. If I feel that I have some kind of content that I should put out there, I will. But I'm not just going to put something out there every day just to put it out there.
Yeah. I'll only put things out when I really feel like doing it. Like I do exercises at home just because, so like I use everything in my house to show people you don't need to go to the gym,
You don't. You could use stairs. You could use a chair. I gotcha.
Yeah. And people love those, and I act really goofy or I'll sing. I've never really been trained to sing, but there's certain songs I can sing because the range is really small, like me. And I only when I feel like doing it. But sometimes when I'm depressed, I feel like doing it a lot. And lately, we've all been a little more depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
as if nothing happened. I think people are hurting again, not working and not having enough food, which should never happen in this great United States of ours. But
Yeah.
I also feel that, our lives are the most important thing. My mother has a saying: caskets don't have pockets. It's nice to have nice things while you're here, but you can't take anything with you. And the bottom line is, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. So to me, my health comes first. I think everyone's health should come first. And then let's slowly work our way back into society where we're all safe.
Yes. So you were mentioning before we started that your husband works in healthcare, and there's been a lot of...
He's my second husband, and when I first met him, he told me he worked at a hospital, and I got excited. I'm like, "You a doctor?" And he's like, "No, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not really rich. I don't have like a lot of money." Because my first husband, unfortunately, was a gambler, and we had nothing, like always. And I never had a normal life with him, and I'm like, "This ain't working no more." So I met him, and he's like, "I promise you'll have a roof over your head and food on the table and medical benefits." Who doesn't have medical benefits? And I was like, "I do." So he works at New York Presbyterian Hospital in Manhattan on 68th Street, and he's been there over 25 years. And he said, "I've never seen anything like this in my life." And it got to him. He broke down one night, and he said they're turning operating rooms into patient rooms. He said body after body after body is just being brought to the morgue. And he said people have no idea unless you're in it every day. He said, and the real heroes, he's a maintenance mechanic,
Mm-hmm.
and every now and then he has to go into the COVID rooms, and he wears N95 masks. He wears 2 masks on top of that. They cover him from head to toe. He's in, he does what he has to do, and he gets out. He takes everything off, washes his hands. He follows the protocol. We actually staying 6 feet away. We live in the same house, but we're actually trying to stay 6 feet away from each other because he doesn't want to bring anything home and give it to me. He comes home, gets undressed, takes a shower, clothes go in the washing machine, Lysol, wiping everything down. I mean, we have a whole routine being done here. So,
Good.
it's a matter of, but he said the heroes are those doctors and nurses that stay in that room. They stay, I don't know how they do it, but they do it, and God bless them for doing it, really.
Ugh. Yeah. So personally, in your family, have you had anybody with the virus or pass away with the virus? Still fighting it?
Actually, my brother was diagnosed with the virus. Hope he doesn't get mad at me for saying it, because when he was first sick, he didn't want anyone to know. Which, if it was me, I'd want people to know, because I want people to pray for me.
Yes.
So I wanted to put it out there so people can pray for my brother.
Yes.
He's now at the tail end of it, so hopefully he won't get pissed off at me. Too bad, Salvatore. Talking about it. He had high fever, coughing, aches, pains. He then lost his sense of taste and smell. Did take the test, it came back positive. Quarantined himself from his wife and my niece, and now, thank God, he's on the tail end of it. And
Thank God.
Thank God, much better. But it's scary, and I'm praying for all my friends and family to stay safe and get through this. I really feel, personally, I think that we might all get it one day. It's just a matter of who survives it or not. And I'm praying to God that they will have a vaccine for it sooner than later.
Yes.
But we all have to be patient, and we just gotta go. You can only get upset over the things you can control, not the things you can't. Certain things are out of your hands, and you just have to roll with the punches and go with the flow. I used to sweat the small stuff. Before my brain surgery, I used to get twisted over the silliest, stupidest stuff.
That's
And then
funny.
after, I said to myself, what an idiot I was, wasting my time and my energy on minute, tiny, stupid stuff. So now it's kind of like, you just gotta let it go.
Yes.
See what happens. Just, if you're a person of faith, pray. And if you're not, then just, if you're spiritual, whatever you do, you meditate, whatever you do to find your happy place, find it and stay there. And don't, get upset over things you can't control, because there's so much we can't control right now.
Yes. Bothers me greatly that people are finding ways to be divisive about COVID-19 in our country. And I'm just like,
You know what? It kills me. I don't talk about politics.
Right. I hate it.
As a matter of fact, I don't do comedy about it. I don't talk about it because I want to keep my friends and family. But I actually call it politics. I don't discuss politics. I just don't. And unfortunately, this shouldn't be a political issue.
No.
It should be a human issue. It should be a human issue, and we need to all come together on this planet, okay, and do the right thing by each other. How hard is it? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat people the way you want to be treated. It's the golden rule that I was taught as a kid. I don't know. Rule with please and thank you, and holding a door open for someone behind you, or saying hello or good morning. I mean, I don't know. I think I was born in the wrong era. And I want to go back to skirts and saddle shoes and a '57 Chevy, and times seemed simpler back then. I mean, I don't know why it's so hard to be nice to each other.
Thank you.
You gotta be humble. You gotta be nice. Like my mother said, don't spit up because it comes back down. You just be nice to each other. Just please, everyone, just try to be nice to each other. How hard is it?
Like, we're going through a pandemic and we have to see people bitching at each other all the time. Like, come on.
It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
I just want people to find a way to dig deeper. You don't have to let the pandemic make you a worse human. Let it make you better, for God's sake.
We all need to come out of this better and not bitter.
There you go.
Hey, that's a good one.
That's a keeper.
Yeah, that's a keeper. I think I'll write that one down.
We're going to go from pieces to peace.
Amen, Linda.
Yeah. Well, you've been so gracious to be on here and let me interview you. I love you so much. I'm so glad I got to know you.
Oh, thank you, Linda. I'm glad God put you in my path. We'll definitely talk, set something up, and you come on my show. I got a lot of questions for you.
Okay. I know how to answer. Absolutely. Where do you want people to follow you on the internet?
Well, follow me. I am on Instagram, believe it or not. It's Theresa.C.Farrell. And they can find me on Facebook, Theresa Cannistraci Farrell. They can go to Tea Time with Theresa on Facebook. And you can tune in tomorrow night. I'll be having the great Bobby Collins on my show at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Strong Island Television on Facebook.
Got it.
Thank you so much, Linda. I'm going to go zoom out with my family.
Yes, enjoy. No politics.
No politics.
Yeah, love you.
Yeah, honey.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.